Hey guys, it's Dave. Today we're going to talk about low T or low testosterone. First off, before you just assume that you have low testosterone, I highly recommend you go get the lab work to prove it, because there are all kinds of things that really can drag you down as far as energy levels, as far as your sexual drive, as far as your exercise tolerance, and just as far as your strength in general. For one thing, after the age of 40, you can lose up to 10% of your muscle mass each year if you're not doing something about it. And by doing something about it, I mean eating correctly, getting enough sleep, and exercise. And exercise to a point that you're not just walking, getting your heart rate up, which is great, your cardio is great, but actually stretching those muscles, building the muscles, because you are going to lose it even if you're doing cardio. So get your T checked out, your testosterone checked out, before you're just assuming that it's low T. Because I see on the internet, I can't go a day watching TV, especially if I'm watching like ESPN, without there being supplemental commercials for, oh guys, if you're feeling low, if you don't have the strength you once did, or if you even have low T, try this new supplement or this new drug that of course you buy online or get through the mail, or you can actually go to the store and some of the big boxes have them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. However, I am saying go to your provider, get it checked out to see if that's really the issue. For one, we don't want you to go try something you may not need. For another, if there's a bigger problem, we want to find that out. Finding that out earlier is always better. Now, if you happen to actually go in and have low T, there are several prescription options that you can do. First off, the one that's been around, I think, for probably the longest is the injectable testosterone. One thing you do need to watch out with all testosterone supplements, you need to make sure with your provider that your heart is okay, because they do have risk associated with your cardio or your heart. So if you're a person who has congestive heart failure, if you're a person who has uncontrolled blood pressure, if you're a person that's had a previous heart attack or stroke, you're probably not going to be a good candidate for testosterone replacement therapy. If everything checks out okay and you still want to be watchful for the length of the testosterone therapy that you're on. You don't want to be on it for a long time, because again, it can have effects on your heart. But for those that are, the injectable testosterone is probably going to be seen by a lot of you because, number one, its insurance will cover it. Sometimes you have to do a prior authorization, but generally they do cover it. And if not, it's not that expensive really, depending on the dose that they put you on. It's something that they will generally start you on, and it's an injection given once a week to twice a week. There are some longer acting injectables out there where you can do it even every once a month or more. The longer that you have like that, the once or more, or once a month or more, they're generally more expensive too, and your insurance may not cover it. We give those injections in the pharmacy at times, and I do want you to know it's not a small needle. If you're afraid of needles, legitimately you want to think about that, because you have to use a bigger gauge needle, because the testosterone is very thick and viscous. So it's hard to draw out of the syringe, or out of the vial into the syringe, and it's hard to actually push into the muscle. I'm doing this in the arm because that's generally where you give the IM, but when I do it, I recommend going into the hip, because it is such a large bore needle. You want a bigger muscle where you won't feel it as much. I always remember I did have one gentleman who says, nope, I want it in the arm. I was like, oh, this is going to hurt, and it's going to hurt me watching it. But I gave it in the arm, and I'm not kidding you, when I pulled that out, I could see the hole left in his arm, but he did not want it in the hip, and so that's what we did. The other thing to remember, if you do not do the injectable, there are a gel, cream, roll-on. You want to be very careful with those. Number one, they're more expensive and maybe not covered by your insurance. But number two, you can transfer that. Meaning if I put it, and I'm just using this as an example, if I put it on my arm and I rub it against my child or my girlfriend or wife that may be trying to have a baby, that testosterone can be transferred to them. And it's not a good idea to have that transference in children or especially pregnant women. So you've got to be careful when you're doing it that it is in an area that it will not be transferred. There is one product out there that actually is under the arm, which that's great. That's very hard to transfer, but we all know that still can happen. Nice big hug, there's transference. So really watch out for that, guys, because that's the last thing you would want. Non-prescription based, I'm going to give you some tips before you go there. And also, maybe this would help without even if your testosterone is not that low, if it's borderline or just a little low. Again, a DHA omega supplement, and a good one. And that, again, remember, if you see our previous TikTok, that's basically the fish oil with DHA. That helps to improve your circulation. So if you're having problems with maybe a little bit of brain fog or maybe a little bit with your low sex drive, you improve your circulation, that's going to improve as well. So get on a good DHA omega-3 supplement. Take it every day. That's the other thing. We forget to take our pills a lot of time. You got to take it every day. Remember, with that, it also can thin your blood. So if you're on an anticoagulant like Eliquis, Plavix, warfarin, Xarelto, Pradaxa, you want to make sure your doctor is aware of that as well. But if you get on that, that can help. Again, preaching to you again about hydration. The more water you drink that helps your circulation, it can help out in both those areas as well. Then something that I just started to do, you're over the age of 40, you need to get it done. Even if you're younger, it helps too. And that is exercise every day. If you find your mood is not what it should be, you want to blame it on testosterone. You find that your libido or your sex drive's not what it should be, you want to blame it on low testosterone. Guess what? Exercising increases those dopamine levels, helps to elevate your mood, helps to improve your circulation, thereby increasing your sex drive and elevating your mood and your circulation, which helps a lot of those areas. Hey, I don't like to do it. I like to make every excuse. I'm too busy. I've got too much work. We've got the kids. We got to get this done. But guess what? 20 minutes a day makes a huge difference. And if you can include some muscle building in there, even lightweight. Now, granted, if you're a heart patient, I want you to check with your doctor about that before you do. But I have elderly patients that are in their 80s and 90s that we have simply lifting above their head cans of corn. Not much weight to them at all. I don't even think a half a pound. But you do it 50 times, guess what? Those arms are going to start feeling it. Those wrists and the forearms are going to start feeling it. You do anything you can to help build that muscle mass. That's going to be important after the age of 40 and 50 and on up. So those are just some tips and tricks, little easy things that may get you to a point where you don't need to actually even check for your low T. But if you feel like that's not going to do the trick, you feel like, hey, I've done that, it's not helping, go check your low T, your testosterone with your provider first before you do any supplementation based on things on TV, the internet, things like that, and see if that's really the issue. It may not be, and they may be able to have some things that would help you out in other ways to get your results you need.